My wife was giving birth. Amniotic fluid embolism hit her like a freight train. Both she and the baby were hanging by a thread, rushed into the ICU. My mother-in-law stood outside, a wreck, sobbing uncontrollably. Then, someone tapped me on the shoulder. "We're with the film crew. We're shooting a scene in the next room. Could you guys keep it down?" My mother-in-law and I just stared at him, totally lost. He told us he was a writer's assistant on the production. They'd rented the hospital room to film a short drama. Our crying was messing with the sound. He wanted us to hold it in for a bit. My mother-in-law lost it completely. "My daughter's in there fighting for her life. What are you even talking about?" she wailed. The guy sighed, like we were being deliberately difficult. "I get it, you're upset, but you're holding up our work. Please don't make this harder than it already is." He turned and walked off. We were too stunned to even argue. Who argues with a psycho like that? But then, the nurses started rushing in and out of the ICU. We knew not to bother them, but my mother-in-law couldn't take it anymore. She asked one if her daughter was going to make it. The nurse said they were doing everything they could. My mother-in-law started sobbing again. Suddenly, a voice boomed from the next room. "Are they still crying? Someone go shut them up." The same guy came barreling out, all exasperated. "Are you kidding me?" he demanded. "My wife is in there." I said, "That's her mom. What do you want her to do?" "Look, I understand. I sympathize," he said. "But we're dropping serious cash, like $5,000 a day, on this shoot. You gonna cover that if you waste our time?" I was speechless. Hospitals aren't exactly known for being film-friendly. Why didn't they just rent a studio? He took my silence as agreement. "Didn't think so. We're not footing the bill for your bad luck. Take it somewhere else, or we're calling security." He turned to leave again, and I grabbed his shirt. "What do you think you're doing?" he snapped. "You gonna hit me?" I gritted my teeth, trying to keep my cool. "Get your director. Or give me the phone number of whoever's in charge. I want to talk to them." He rolled his eyes, shaking his head. "You can't just get a hold of people in Hollywood that easily. Just listen up. If you start crying again, we're kicking you out." He ripped my hand off his shirt and went back inside. And then, the ICU doors opened again. A nurse came out with a clipboard, asking us to sign. My stomach dropped. A wave of dizziness hit me as I stared at the form. She said the embolism was getting worse. My wife might not make it. They needed to do an emergency C-section, try to save the baby. My mother-in-law froze. My heart hammered in my chest. I was trying so hard not to cry, but my voice broke when I finally spoke. "Can't you save them both?" The nurse explained it wasn't about choosing one over the other. They just needed to save at least one. My wife was in critical condition. I needed to sign, now. My brain was a blank. I signed the form, handed it back to the nurse. My mother-in-law just completely broke down. She dropped to her knees, sobbing, banging her head on the floor. "Please, save my daughter. She's all I have. I'm her mom. I'll give anything. Take whatever she needs from me." She kept crying, kept hitting her head. The nurse looked like she was about to cry herself. She just said they'd do their best and rushed back inside. I tried to comfort my mother-in-law, but I was terrified myself, tears streaming down my face. Suddenly, the door to the film crew's room flew open again. That writer's assistant stuck his head out, fuming. "We're paying for this," he yelled. "Can't you let us work?" He stormed over to us like we'd committed some crime. He pointed a finger right in my face. "Do you guys not understand English? We tried to be nice, but it's not working, is it? I'm telling you, you're making a big mistake. Do you even have a wife or kids?" I asked. "No, I don't," he said. "But if my wife and kids were in this situation, I wouldn't be a burden on society. I feel for you, but that's no excuse." My mother-in-law wiped her eyes and howled. "How can you be so heartless? My daughter and grandson are fighting for their lives." He went ballistic. "You're the heartless ones. We're burning through thousands of dollars here. Our budget is on fire while you're just blubbering around. Fine, I'll give you a taste of your own medicine." He took off running. Then he kicked the ICU doors, hard. The doors shook with a deafening boom. My mother-in-law panicked, grabbing his arm. "Are you crazy? The doctors are in there operating. And we're trying to film," he shot back. "How do you like being interrupted now? Treat others how you want to be treated. Ever heard of it?" I pointed at the ICU, voice shaking. "Did you even think about the doctors holding the scalpel, trying to save my wife and baby, before you kicked that door?" He sighed. "If that's the case, I'd almost prefer if your kid didn't make it." I froze. "What did you say?" He smirked. "Born into a family with no manners. They wouldn't amount to anything anyway. Maybe the kid knows its fate, that's why it doesn't want to be born into your family." I didn't let him finish. I grabbed him by the collar. "What now? You gonna hit me?" he shrieked. He yelled so loud, the crew in the other room heard and came running out. The leader, wearing a baseball cap, sounded annoyed. "A little problem, and you can't even handle it." The writer's assistant immediately switched to a sycophantic tone. "Director, these people are just making trouble." So, that was the director. He came up to me, frowning. "Did you tell them about the helicopter?" The writer's assistant perked up. "I was just about to. They told me, with the utmost seriousness, that they were supposed to film a scene. The female lead was sick, and a handsome billionaire was supposed to fly in on a helicopter to see her. Because of my mother-in-law's crying, the shoot was delayed. The helicopter's rental time was up. To use it again, they'd have to pay another $2,000 an hour. They wanted me to cover it, because we'd ruined their shoot." The assistant was spitting as he spoke. "I told you, the budget is burning. Do you know how much money we're talking about? Because you were mourning outside, you caused damage. Pay up." That word, mourning, just set me off. I punched him square in the face, yelling, "I'll mourn your damn face. My wife wouldn't die if you were dead." The writer's assistant hit the ground, clutching his face, letting out a pathetic wail. My mother-in-law lost it too, grabbing his shirt. "Who are you calling mourning? My daughter's in there, fighting to survive, and you're cursing us. The assistant looked at the director, desperate. Director, I told you they wouldn't pay. They're just being difficult. The director's face was like ice. He opened his mouth to speak, but the ICU doors opened again. I froze, staring at the doors. A nurse wheeled out a baby in an incubator. She stopped, looking around. Who kicked the door? She asked, her voice cold. The assistant piped up. You have the nerve to ask us that. We rented the space from the hospital for a lot of money. What kind of security is this? The nurse just glared at him, ignoring him. She turned to me, sounding urgent. The baby has a chance, but we don't have a specialized neonatal ICU here. We need to get it to the children's hospital. They have a dedicated unit. What about my wife? I asked. She's still in surgery, the nurse said. Get the baby to the children's hospital first. We've already arranged an ambulance, and our head doctor called the children's hospital to brief them. A family member should go with the baby. They'll have a bed ready as soon as you arrive. My mother-in-law wiped her eyes, saying she'd go with the baby. The nurse and she started to push the incubator away. But just then, the director reached out and grabbed the incubator. Pay up first, he said, his voice like ice. Otherwise, nobody goes anywhere. My mother-in-law went ballistic. Let go. Didn't you hear what the doctor said? We have to get to the hospital now. The baby's in danger. The director just smirked. Even if it dies, it's just your kid, not mine. I invested my own money into this show. You're causing me damage. What if you run off? Pay first. The crew surrounded the incubator. The assistant said, that's right. No money, no moving. Just because you're miserable doesn't give you the right to hurt others. The nurse was frantic. Are you crazy? The baby's in critical condition. We have to get to the hospital now. The director just glanced at the baby and shook his head. Even if it dies, that's your problem. Sympathy isn't an excuse to be reckless. I took my savings to make this show. Did I cry about it? Everyone suffers in this world. Don't use your hardship as a shield. The writer's assistant nodded. Right, mistakes have consequences. You can't go around hurting people just because you're sad. My fists clenched. Anger burned inside me. Are you trying to get me to beat you to death? I asked, my voice low. The director laughed. He waved his hand, and his crew closed in on me. You want to fight a film crew? He scoffed. Do you know how many people are in a film crew? I was about to lunge when my mother-in-law grabbed my arm. Pay them, she sobbed. Now's not the time to fight. I bit back my anger, knowing she was right. She had to go with the baby, and I had to be there for my wife. If I got arrested for fighting, there'd be no one to sign any paperwork for my wife. I pulled out my phone and transferred them $2,000. Let my baby go to the hospital, I said. The director nodded. Okay, but you still owe me $3,000. I was stunned. What $3,000? He pointed at the writer's assistant. You hit our guy. You think you can just get away with that? I did punch the assistant earlier. I didn't think they'd use that as an excuse to extort money. The writer's assistant spat out a mouthful of bloody saliva. $3,000, he sneered. Or we're not done here. The nurse was frantic. Let them go. They're running out of time. The baby's face was turning blue. The director shook his head. Nope, we were being reasonable at first, and they started it. This is just self-defense. Pay the $3,000, and I'll let you go. I don't have $3,000, I said. The director sneered. If you don't have that kind of money, why did you even have a kid? My mother-in-law was crying. Sirs, please, my son-in-law doesn't have that much money. He had to pay a lot of money. He broke someone's leg before. We've already spent everything we have. The writer's assistant looked shocked. Wow, you broke someone's leg. Director, she's scaring us. I'm so scared. The director couldn't help but laugh. Lady, do you even know the law? If you break someone's leg, that's illegal. You'd be in jail. The nurse said, it's true, I can confirm it. The victim was treated at our hospital. They paid a lot of money as a settlement. The director sneered. You've been helping them. I bet you're in on this. The nurse was upset. You're the one bullying people. The assistant warned the nurse. Don't judge if you don't know the whole story. If you knew how much damage they did to us, you'd be on our side. Just then, the director lifted his foot. He put his foot on the baby's incubator, smirking. Come on, you think you're tough. Try breaking my leg. The nurse went berserk. She shoved the director away. Are you insane? Your shoes are dirty. The baby will get infected. The director said, not being born into this family is a relief. Listen up, pay the money or get down on your knees and apologize to my crew. Don't use the baby as an excuse. My fists clenched. I could barely contain my rage. But my mother-in-law was crying, shaking her head. I told myself, over and over, don't do anything stupid. If I miss my wife's most critical moment because of these people, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. I gritted my teeth. If I kneel, will you let my baby go? The director nodded. Yeah, just kneel. I kneeled on the ground. I'm sorry, I said. The crew laughed. The writer's assistant said, Director, you're the best. You controlled him in a second. The director said, you have to fight evil with evil. Don't try to reason with people like this. You can't reason with them. The nurse kept checking the baby. Can you let the baby go now? She sobbed. We really are running out of time. The director said, hold on, I want to think what your damage it done. You said kneeling was enough. Yeah, I forgive you for punching him, the director said. But you caused us so much damage, I have to calculate all the costs. My mother-in-law was trembling with anger. She lifted her hand and bit down hard on her wrist. Blood flowed from her mouth. The director and crew were startled, stepping back. What are you doing? The director asked. Threatening us with self-harm.